we are going to build a giant wooden tumbler lock. Not quite sure how I'm going to do it yet. We're going to build this 10 times scale, so rather than being that big, it's going to be that big. And this key is going to be interesting. This is a solid piece. It has holes drilled, it's round of course, and it has the keyway, which is quite an irregular shape. Then I have to build the outer workings, which obviously is round, has enough clearance for this to spin in. This area here they call the Bible for some reason, but that's where all the tumblers are. Springs and pins that push down into these holes and basically lock this in position. And then when you put the key in, the key pushes those tumblers to the right position so that that will spin. So building this is going to be a little challenging. I can reasonably turn that on the lathe, but I think I want to drill it out first. Then I'm going to need to be able to pop it apart to make that keyway. So I'm going to think about how I'm going to do that. And then this piece is also going to be challenging because I'll probably glue that on. I don't know. I'm not sure what the best way to do that is. So let's see what I can come up with. This is the core, which is this little part. So I need to make this keyway here while leaving the top intact. You can see the bottom is split. So that was the reason for the newspaper, so that I could split it apart and then basically remove sections here, and then I can glue on some other sections to make the wording and the keyway there. Less than an inch to go. I have some really big drill extensions, but I don't have an extension like suitable for that. I really just need like a 2 or 3 inch extension. This actually has a hex head ground on it, and at a pinch you can use a socket. I've put some paper in the socket so that it makes it a snug fit and it won't fall out. Now the negative with this is all you can do is push. If you try to pull up, your bit's going to be left in there. But since I only have maybe 3/4 of an inch to drill, I should be able to push it all the way through. So I've got these two pieces, the lock body, and this piece the core, and then now I need a key. So that's 3/8 of an inch thick, so I need to take out a little more than 3/8. On the opposite side, this groove higher on the key corresponds with that. So if I cut this all the way down, it's going to be very hard to fix those grooves if I need to widen them. I'd have to do it by hand or something. It'd be hard to do on the table saw. So what I'm going to do is cut this like 1/3 of the way and see if that portion of the key fits. So now we've got our lock body, our core, the key, and pins to make this thing work. This is really going to make it obvious how these things work, because we have to make this key so that it's functional. First we're going to put it all the way in, and I'm going to reach down and I'm going to mark the edges of these holes. Now you can see that's where the 5 pins are going to be. So now I need to decide the height that each pin is going to be. Really, this is rather arbitrary. I can make it whatever I want. So now I've got the center of each pin marked and extended down here. And what I need to do is make the cuts in the key, these little grooves, and they are obviously varied. That determines how much each pin needs to be pushed up to get it to the proper position so the lock will open. I'm using a little under 40 degrees, like 38 degrees. I want these to be able to slide pretty easily. So basically I take out this, that. I'm going to leave that one all the way up. Need to angle the front of the key down below this so that it catches pins and picks them up. Back and cut this off, and that'll be the front of the key. So I put little chamfers and kind of rounded off the front. Very easy to put in. The center of that cut lines up with the center of this pin. The end of the pin is rounded to fit down into that cut. The pin is going to sit in there like that. So then when I drop it in, that is the length that this pin needs to be, right there. I was a little worried about this. See, I drilled all these separately and I laid them out as carefully as I could, but they're not perfect. When I look down these pins, they're not perfectly lined up. 4 is off and 1 is off. So I am going to plug those and drill them again. I'm going to use this as a drill guide and just drill right down through that. These are the pins in the right order. Now, those are the key pins. These are the driver pins. These live up here in this area that they call the Bible. So these are going to be like this on top of those pins. So you can see that it wouldn't turn now because the driver pins are all going to be locking it up. When you put the key in, it brings all of those pins to exactly the right height. Now, if it was the wrong key, you know, maybe one would be that high and this one would be that high. It wouldn't work. It's got to be exactly the right key so that when it's all the way in, it puts all those pins in the right place. Another thing about this is why this system is key retaining. You'll notice when you put a key in a door and you turn it, well, now you're not under the Bible anymore. There's nowhere for these pins to move. So if you hold those pins down, this key can't come out. The only way it can come out is if you let these come up, but there's no room for them to come up, so it holds itself in. So that's why locks hold on to keys like that. All right, so put the core in. I'm actually going to get it so that I can take the key out and I know it's lined up. And I'm going to drop the driver pins in. So it will not turn. The driver pins have dropped below the shear line and they are blocking the way in there. I put the key in, it pushes all those pins up, and then I can turn it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a bolt with a blunt head that I can have run, oops, my driver pins are dropping in, that I can have run in this groove to retain this core in the lock so that it functions a little better and you don't pull the core out and drop all your driver pins. I just got this bolt I took some of the threads off of the end so that it'll fit well down in that groove. Locked. It works. Now also in a real lock, you would have springs in here, and I might actually add them. I could put some springs in and then just screw a plate on top, and then these would all be spring loaded. Right now this lock will only work in this orientation and because gravity is acting like my spring. It's pushing those driver pins where they need to go. If I were to turn it on its side, the driver pins are going to fall out. If I turned it upside down, it's not going to work right. So now all I need is to have this back attached to something that performs a function, operates a latch of some kind, so you can see how you translate this rotational motion into a latch to open a deadbolt or something. Alright, so here's our little latch mechanism. And now you can see, when you turn the key, it pulls the latch. Doesn't matter which way you turn it, it's still going to pull it. And of course, without the key, this is locked. You're not going to be able to open the door.